will
Yep,
hit
I'm already
the
live.
Hmm.
do the. I'm gonna start sharing my chat. It says you must be live. I am. Let me. I don't know why it keeps telling me I'm not live on here.
Share chat started.
Oh, it said started. There we
Oh,
go.
yeah, I
It
see
keeps
that
going
too.
on off for me. So
Oh no.
there we go.
Everybody's in
All right.
here.
Yeah, as long as it's good here. I also apologize if my bot starts chatting shit as well. But yeah, I'm good this
Have
end.
so many points, Rock.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
What I'll do is I'll
All
Oh,
right.
that's so messed up. I take that personally.
I just told him to behave. Just told him to behave.
Me and your bot are already enemies.
There's gonna be like 6 bots fighting if you go.
Right.
All right.
Mm-mm-mm.
I'm gonna be doing some.
So you guys, let me know when you're ready to start, and then
All
I'll
right.
get started.
Yeah, I mean I'm good.
This is Halloween.
Oh,
Thank you,
that's
This
on
is
my
guys.
end.
Halloween. Halloween. Halloween.
Is Obscure? Are you
Yes.
going live?
No.
Okay.
No, he's just being a guest. In all.
I'll be a guest today. I would have, but I was out and about, and it's okay. This is also going to be a learning process for me, being able to talk to a group and also look at the camera and stuff. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I get it.
Fair, fair.
Oh, hold on. There we go. See a little tomato. All right. Yeah,
Hi, Ray.
I'm
Hello.
good to go when you guys are.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. We have like a special collab stream we're doing today. We're gonna be talking to. There's four of us, so four streamers with four different perspectives and issues we're gonna bring to you. Um, so I'll give you a brief introduction of who we are and what we're talking about, and then I guess we can get right into it. So I'm Rockagoff. I usually play Tekken on Twitch, and then there's some other stuff that I do. Um, I'm here with Mr. Pain and Sorrow, Obscure
Hello, hello.
Menace, and
So,
K911.
Hello.
Um, yeah, let's see. So if anybody wants to like join into the conversation, please feel free to just let us know in the chat if you can highlight what your question. We'll be sure to keep an eye and read it. And just make sure you let these streamers tell their stories and just be respectful because this is a safe space. And they've come here to be vulnerable with you, so please like be respectful and kind. And I think that's all I've got to say, really. All right, so for the first segment, we have Mr. Pain and Sorrow. So Mr. Pain and Sorrow, his topic is going to be when you're in a triggered state, how do you return to a sense of normalcy? How and when do you remove yourself from environments contributing to that state? So, Mr. Payne, if you'd like to give us like an introduction to you and what you do, and then feel free to get started.
Okay. I'm Mr. Pain and Sorrow. Probably an interesting name, especially for this topic. I am a military vet and also college grad, I guess. And with everything that I've been dealing with, mental health was always a big factor. Actively still trying to get my PTSD stuff managed the right way. So I take things I've learned from like my regular life, the things I learned from when I was in the service, and when I've had to talk with my own counselors and therapists and psychiatrists and things and try and apply it to everyday life. And for like anything really can trigger somebody. And I would say, especially being in the service, fireworks might trigger somebody. The way you talk to somebody might trigger somebody. So my own personal thing is figuring out what might trigger myself and what might trigger someone else, and knowing when and how and when to walk away, essentially. Because sometimes it's not worth like sacrificing your own character or giving someone power over you or someone just throwing you out of the loop, making you look like you're a bad person, essentially. So for me, like even if it's on Facebook or whatever, any social media, if someone like pops in and they're trying to make you act out, you can just walk away from that. You don't have to engage in that. So I'm usually telling people like if I think they might need a helping hand, like just don't engage. Just don't engage with it. Walk away from it. You can take a moment. It's always important to me. Take a moment for yourself. Like really breathe, relax. Is it worth your time and energy? Is letting someone else having that little bit of control over you worth it? And for me, it's usually no. So like I'll say, I don't know, I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but if you have something that you're really into and someone just comes out of the woodwork, they don't know anything about it, but they're opposed to it, just like, you know what? You're not worth talking to. Boom. And just leave them. And I find some of them have their own demons that they have to deal with. And when you start ignoring them or you walk away from it, it hurts them more than what it would hurt you. Because at the end of the day, they don't care how you're feeling, the most average person, it seems like, and they won't even think twice about that conversation. Meanwhile, it might be hurting you a lot. So I'm big on like just know when to walk away, know when the fight's not worth it, know when you really just can't change someone's mind, and like loving your own peace, I guess, would be the main thing. You gotta cherish your own peace, especially in like today's day and age.
I was gonna
But
say,
you guys got anything on?
with that as well. Recently, I've heard this saying so much about is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Where it's like, how
Yeah.
much of this do I want to engage with before I'm burnt out or I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
hammer in a point that is just not going to go through. I personally like to think I'm pretty open-minded and will be willing to listen, but I get what you mean. Some people are very stubborn in their viewpoints, so and sometimes you do, for your own health, have to step back and go, I think this conversation's over. Like you go your way with it, I'll go my way with it. Like it could be with a friend or something, and you just go, can we just change the topic? Can we, like, hey, just take a breather, come back, And I think that's, like you said, with the internet side of things, it's so easy to just tab out, not engage again, don't write another comment even if deep down you want to be like, oh, I really just I got so much to say, but it's you just know it's not going to go anywhere. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think sometimes it's just like I'm learning very much so, as someone who is very recently nearly lost his rank twice for disrespecting non-commissioned officers. For having my viewpoint
Uh-huh.
and
I
being
know
like,
how
you know
that could.
what, I've started to learn very quickly. Like, you know what, just disengage, Roger. Like
Yep.
yeah. So, but in the civilian world, it's a bit different. Sometimes you just have to go, you know, all right, like, are we done here? you know.
Yeah, I mean, I really like how you pretty much you were talking about protecting your peace, and sometimes you can't talk sense into somebody when they're not willing to see it. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people live in their own bubbles, and I think this is true with my mom. My mom is like a narcissist. She can't see the truth because she is in survival mode. So, in order for her to function, she can't look at herself and be critical of herself because she's too far gone. And for years I tried to reason, but like if somebody doesn't want to see it, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's like we want them to be able to see it, but
Mhm.
And I
there's
think
only so much you can do.
that's what you're saying as well with factors of triggers, because people have different experiences, right? Like you were saying, say for example, a combat vet, it might be fireworks, it might be watching that door because they don't want to sit with their back to a door, things like that. But it's very hard to explain that to someone that hasn't had that experience. But you know, say you're sat with your partner, a friend who has a completely different experience, you're also trying to remain cognizant of what they've been through. Maybe they have had
Right.
some similar experience with they don't want to sit next to the door and you're all like fighting amongst each other like I want to sit here, I want to sit, and then you've got your own reasons for it. So it's about understanding each other. And I'm not saying you should tiptoe around everyone because we do have our responsibility for our own triggers to a degree, like, and working with that. Yes, in the moment we can't help that, but there is a level of just going, well, you can't say that to me, you can't do that to me because this is going to set me off. Like it's about
Hmm.
understanding each other, and I think that's a big part of what people find hard to do. Is that nowadays, especially a lot of people are very self-centered with that and go like, it's my way or the highway, and you're just like, "Look, I'm trying to work with you here, and I would like if you worked with me too, because maybe I don't want to be my leg going 100 mile an hour with anxiety, because now I'm pent
Yeah.
up. Um, I mean, Obscure, you got any thoughts? You're muted, I think.
Oh no,
My
you're
bad.
good.
Yeah, I
You're
turned
good.
it off. I just have a question. So, what are some of the techniques that you kind of like always tend to fall and do whenever you feel like um, you really do have to kind of like get yourself out of whatever
Dial it in.
situation? You know what I mean? Just kind of like back up. Because so there are cases like, for example, like myself, I'm a little too blunt sometimes. I'm talking to someone, and if I don't like the energy or um, how they're speaking with me, I'm pretty straightforward. I'll be like, "Yo, I don't like the way you're talking to me," and makes the whole thing awkward. Like, especially if it's like a group of friends, and that particular friend is really close to the other and whatnot. Um, what's your kind of like fall to when it comes down to like a technique? You're like, hey. Maybe do you like maybe, "Hey, speak with me over here," or like what do you normally would do? I'm just as a question.
So for that type of situation, I don't think there is a one case all, um, because each person, they might not take the one-on-one the same way. So, like the vibe I'm getting from you right now, just from you saying that, I feel like if me and you were having a little bit of something, we would be able to have that one-on-one conversation. But
Mhm.
I literally just had an issue where someone wanted to have a one-on-one issue and they came in screaming, yelling, and I'm like, "You're not fixing the problem, you're kind of making it worse. I don't want to participate in something like this." And then there's some who would take a one-on-one as a personal challenge. Like they oh, you want to be in the DMs? Why don't you talk to me in front of everybody? The issue started in front of everybody. Talk to me in front of everybody. And like it's just sometimes like then again walking away from the situation. Like, hey man, things got heated. We were in the middle of something. We gave it some time. Let's talk about what happened. Now that everything's calm. So I think it's a case by case type of situation on something like that. And then there has to be some sort of understanding of how it was going, how you were receiving everything, how it looks from your angle, and then how everything looks from their angle, and then trying to meet somewhere in the middle. Because like let's say video games. Let's say we're playing Marvel Rivals, and you're tanking, I'm healing, and you keep dying. And you're like, you're not healing, you're not healing, you're not healing. Oh, you're getting upset. Like, hey man, I'm trying to heal, but I'm getting beat up by Iron Fist in the back line. I need help. Oh, whatever, man. Heal me and you have help. Heal me and you have. So like you have what you see happening as you're tanking. I have what I see as I'm healing. And there can be a strong disconnect there. But let's say we stop. But if we were streaming, let's look at what was happening. And it's like, oh, yeah, you were getting beat up. Oh, yeah, you weren't getting as many heals. And then we could adjust from something like that. And that's where we meet together and have a little bit more harmony on something like that. That's just
Hmm.
a video game example, I suppose.
I,
I think
I
that's
can see what you're saying as well. I was just going to say because I think there's a level of like that you have to like read a person as each situation goes into because the way I joke around is like I'm like Doctor Strange with the 14 million different possibilities, and I'm like, which one is the one where Tony Stark doesn't, you know? And
Yeah.
so like I try and see how that person's reacting, and I'm like, okay, is this going to be a sidebar conversation? Is this going to be a, hey, you can challenge me in front of everyone right now, but like, one, I'll either destroy you, or two, this is not you're just going to look like an idiot in front of everyone. So you have to tell them, like, hey, this is probably not the right environment, you know? So I get what you mean. There's going to be those people that confront it differently and take it differently.
Mhm.
And it's just about de escalating it to the point of where you can actually have a conversation. I think that's the biggest and hardest part
Yeah.
is it's not just a slanging match of like, you know, this or that. It's, hey, I actually want to have an adult conversation with you over this. Like, what is the cause of
Mhm.
this? Like, if someone's coming in heated and you don't realize you've triggered them, like, again, they're probably pent up. They're probably like a dog backed into a corner, you know? They're probably just lashing out,
Yep.
and you're like, hey, what's happening right now? Tell me your process. Tell me, you know, what are you thinking? And give them, even give a little bit of space, give a little bit of like, hey, I'm not trying to crowd you. I'm not trying to, you know, because that normally works for me. Again, some
Yeah.
people say I'm a soft leader for doing that instead of smoking the shit out of them for yelling at me, and I'm like, but no, there's like a reason that like they're doing this. Like, I know I've had a soldier before who was like acting up completely different than what he was. His NCO was smoking the shit out of him daily. And in the end, I was just like, come to me. He came to me, and I was like, what's actually going on? And he was going through a divorce, and he was too scared to tell his leadership, you know. And it was like, okay, let's give some space. Let's figure out what's going on, you know. Like sometimes other people need that, like aggression back. Sometimes they just need someone to listen.
Yeah. That was when I was at Fort Campbell, that was our leadership was really terrible. And there was a lot of people who aren't with us anymore because of things like that, where all they would do is keep smoking them. So they never had a break because you're at work, you get smoked nonstop, you go home, you're getting basically a divorce, so you're losing your entire family. So, like, the only time you have any peace is when you go to sleep, if you can sleep. And that's where, like, I guess my mental health journey really started in the military because you now you gotta be mentally fit and everything. And it's like you have you're forced to deal with certain things. And I don't think the average person has to deal with those types of things. So they don't have that same I don't know, mental fortitude, I guess. So sometimes they think they can say what they want to do, whatever they want, act however they want, and they never think about how someone else is feeling about something. And yeah, if they feel like, oh yeah, that looks like it's weak, like it to me, it's way harder to care about someone else, care about what they're thinking, care about what they're feeling, reach out to somebody who may have been berating you and like, hey man, what's really going on? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening right now? Like, actually lending an arm out, like being a brother or sister to someone, especially a stranger, way harder than just being mean to them or tossing them to the side. But
And I think that can
that's the hard
relate to
part.
someone like Rock who was talking about a family member, like a, you know, her
Mm-hmm.
mum. Like, it's so much easier for her mum to be herself rather than Rock got to be the one to approach it and go, what's actually the reason behind all this? Why, you know, like, that's to me the bit that's like hard is because sometimes people, it's easier to be mean than it is to be nice, you know, like, or
Yeah.
so it's like a it's like a catch 22 because sometimes it's going to blow up in your face. Other times, you know, you might find the cause of it.
So
And
when you
we'll
say
figure it
it'll
out.
blow up in your face, don't you I don't know. It might be me personally, but I feel like if it blows up in my face, I feel as if I'm happy that I know I did the right thing. Versus if I was being mean spirited and then that person actually needed help and something happens.
Yeah,
I
that
yeah.
is very true. Like, yeah, I would rather, I don't know, take the pain of knowing that I tried and then I got hurt because of, and then I knew that I couldn't fix it. Or I at least tried and maybe it was the wrong type. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would, but it's just that initial hurt, that you're like, damn, I
Mhm.
really wanted to get through to you, or I really wanted to
Mm,
try, and
yeah.
I just wanted this to be normal, quote unquote, normal,
Yeah.
in some capacity. But that's the hard part is that then like there's only so many blows you can take as a person, even mentally, where you're just like, dude, all I'm doing is trying and trying, and no one, it feels like no one else is trying, and you just get to the point where you're like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know where I stand with you, or I don't know what else I can do. Um,
Yeah.
and so eventually you do get worn out, you get burnt out, you get like, what's the point? What's why am I even trying? What am I doing? And then if you don't try, you're seen as the bad person. So it's like you're just like,
Mhm.
where do I win in this?
So so
Yep.
before we wrap up and move on to obscure, we have a question in the chat. Uh, they're asking, what does getting smoked in that work military
Look at us all
context mean?
smiling. We all know.
So yeah. Getting smoked is like a punishment. Um, they can make you do push-ups, sit-ups, planks, run, clean up dumb things. Like there's a picture that says this is what it's like being in the army, where it's a full-blown thunderstorm outside, pouring down rain, and they gave the guy a mop and told him to mop the drive.
I've been there. I've been
Yeah.
there.
Like
Oh my
that's
god.
getting smoked.
Yeah, so
Like if
Yep.
you
a lot of the time what it is that they can either do paperwork, which is for record of some capacity, or they can just smoke you, which is like corrective punishment. Yeah, or
corrective
corrective
training.
measures is what they call it,
Yeah.
right? And
No,
so
that's
it's
terrible.
basically saying like, like if a kid sticks his hand in the fire, he's not likely to stick his hand in the fire again. That's what they want from you. Is like, you fucked up, I'm gonna fuck you up, and then you won't do it again. Now, a lot of people, it
Mhm.
doesn't work. It doesn't work with me. You could smoke me all day long, because I don't like. I'm like, okay, I think this is dumb. You're just pissing me off, but I'll still do it. But paperwork, put it on record. I'm scared because I'm a people pleaser. I want that on my
Right.
record. But other people, I've seen as
Right.
soon as you go,
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
that's
mean
right.
to interrupt. I was just gonna say we have two more comments, and then we'll move on to
Okay,
obscure just to keep things moving.
yeah.
So Ray says the hardest part is learning if they're talking to you or talking through you, because sometimes there's an issue they want to fix, so they're talking to you or talking through you, where they just want somebody to yell and get their chest, get it off their chest, and you're just there. I think that's pretty true. People
Mm.
tend to project things onto you that they haven't properly like processed yet. And Glitter Panda says military life sounds very hard, and their methods are designed to break the person's mentality for unquestioned obedience.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree with that, but I would also say sometimes it actually builds you as a leader, right? Because I know if you smoke me, it's not going to work. So I don't do that to my soldiers because I'm like, I know it doesn't work for me. Let's try and find an alternate method. So I, if they keep fucking up, then I'll smoke the shit out of them. But
I was just about to say, I think that really depends on your leadership, right?
Hmm,
Because where I was at, in the Marine Corps doing artillery, we do a lot of yelling and screaming, right?
yeah.
But
Hey,
it's
brother.
not, but we
I
don't
also
do
was
much.
artillery.
I'm
Oh yeah?
artillery too. We got
Oh
the
yeah.
red light
All of us
smoke.
are artillery, huh? That's hilarious. Kings of battle, baby.
Yes,
Anyway,
sir.
as it turns out, like, you guys are, especially you guys know how loud are we like when you're using the guns and whatnot. We try to get moving as fast as possible. Now, for some strange reason, I actually had a really, really good kind of like leadership. Um, his name was Gunnery Sergeant Hansen. This guy was amazing, right? He didn't have to yell at you. He would look at you and just with the look in his eyes, like, go do it. And you're like, very well. And the reason, and he'll actually, once you're done with whatever thing you were doing, he tells you why that must be done. What I see a lot is in the military, not specifically with my leadership, but with other people's leadership, is they'll ask them to do a certain task, but not necessarily explain as to why that task is necessary, and that can really mess with a lot of people' mental state. I'm not even gonna lie, because then then being obedient here in the military is one thing, right? But if this is also transferring over to in real life, it becomes a major issue. Your wife tells you, "Hey, do this," right? But you're not out of the loop from being in the military, and you just listen. You just keep moving. I feel like you go on straight on autopilot. I've seen it multiple times, and I don't know, man. I think it really does depend on your leadership because they and you guys got to admit, there's a lot of people who do not need to be sergeants.
Definitely not.
Like it's just,
That's
Yes.
why I
dude,
told
it's
Yeah.
one to
just,
fuck off the other day. I have more
yeah.
leadership skills than he ever will. And, no one respects him. But anyway, that was one for the captain's
Yeah.
office. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get what you
All
mean.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have Obscure Menace. He's talking about the connection between physical health and mental health, how caring for the body supports the mind. So please give us an introduction and take it away.
Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Obscure Menace. A lot of people just call me Obi. I don't even know how that name came to be. I'm gonna be honest, but it's there. It's permanent. Um, I was in the military for about 8 years. Uh, I left as a sergeant. My job in artillery was a fire direction control specialist. So I was basically, telling where they're supposed to shoot and whatnot, right? But I was working with headquarters, which means I actually ran multiple batteries at once. And I was, I had like 4 or 5 radios, one attached to my fucking ear. It was pretty cool. It's a fun time. Anyway, aside from that, I've been doing martial arts for about, I'm gonna say now it's like a 15 to 16 years. Still at it, and I'm actually an instructor when it comes for martial arts and teach every Tuesday and Thursday. Um, I'm a big advocate of fitness because everyone's heard the term mind, body, soul, right? But how often are we actually taking care of all three, right? And each and every one of those is kind of like they support each other, right? You need a strong mind, you need a strong body. And when it comes to soul, that you can be like religion, right, or some kind of spirituality. Um, but then this is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, is in order for you to have the best of each world, you have to really pay attention to how you are feeling during the time. Because when somebody is kind of like just hanging out, you feel like, my apologies, sorry, I'm kind of like zoned out at the same time.
Hmm.
Oh, you're
Um,
good. You're good.
It's hard to express it sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to find the right words. Essentially, what it is, like I do a lot of retreats and stuff. Like I go out and I sit down, touch the earth with my feet. You know, I'm physically fit, and I can when I breathe right, and I have no issues within here. It feels like spiritually you are there, mentally you are there, right? Um, a lot of the times I see people they want to get into fitness, for example, but they don't know how to get started. A lot of the times they feel intimidation, just because of the fact that like, hey man, that guy looks buff. How do you even get there, right? And can I even get there in the first place? You can. Most people can. It's just you have to be patient, right? And you also have to find something that you really enjoy and love. A lot of the times people join the gym and They're in there for, I don't know, a month and then they're gone, right? The reason that normally happens is because you don't love what you're doing. You have to love and enjoy the thing that you're doing. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely hard to stick to it. What I always say is if you want to get fit, go find something that you enjoy doing, whether it's like bike riding, playing soccer, boxing, dancing, anything that gets your body moving. And the moment that it becomes like a hobby or something that you really enjoy, it's quite literally everything just kind of falls into place, right? If you want to be a really good dancer, like, man, I keep getting tired when I'm dancing, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on this treadmill and I'm going to run on this treadmill because I want to get really good at dancing. On the other hand, you come in to the gym and you're like, I'm going to go on this treadmill because I'm trying to lose weight, right? Now, self-discipline helps to a certain extent, but self-discipline isn't always going to be there, and you absolutely need something that you love to do in order to keep moving forward. Um, Now, I've seen again a lot of my friends. I've had them. They ask me like, "Well, why are you so motivated to work out and train all the time?" And truth of the matter is, my leadership style has always been the same, and it's lead by example. I don't. I work out and I train because if I'm going to advocate to somebody, hey, you can totally get fit, and I'm not fit myself. Again, lead by example has always been my kind of go-to style of leadership. So I I have a question for you guys. Um, is there any particular like physical hobby that you guys enjoy doing like a lot?
So I'll go first, I guess. I used to
Yeah.
really, really love playing sports. Like high school, I was a three sport letter athlete, football, basketball, and track and field. And then I played football in college for a year before I joined the service. Right now, I'll go to like the local YMCA and any type of workout. Usually, I'm feeling good. Occasionally, I'll get back on the basketball court, play. Feeling all right. Like I enjoy playing with like people who are just wanting to have fun versus it being too serious sometimes.
Dude, you're in YMCA. I love that place. They have so
Hmm.
many classes. Dude,
Yeah.
I've done everything in there.
Yeah.
I've done yoga, Pilates. I've done the cycling class. YMCA is so cool. I love that
Hmm.
place.
Mhm.
So like
Aside
And
from,
then you get
the very
it's
popular
yeah.
song.
it's the complete opposite because everyone's like, you're in the military, you must love PT. I fucking hate PT. That's the worst part of my day,
Mm.
right? Like, I enjoy the camaraderie, the leading, the yeah, but PT, not my thing. But like you said, if there's motivation there, like say, Obi knows, like I'm pretty messed up with like my knees and stuff. But like if I
Yeah.
can run and I can prove to other people I'm with you, that's my motivation. But then like say I come out of work or whatever, my only motivation is Huey, my dog. Like to actually get out and do something, like having, like you said, having something you enjoy. Because again, people would be like, "Come to the gym with me." I just didn't enjoy it. I had no drive to be like, because again, I'm just kind of like, well, I'm not doing this for anything. But now, like,
So,
oh yeah, carry on.
a question for you. You said you don't like PT. Were you athletic before the military?
Oh
Like, did you do a
hell
bunch of
no,
stuff?
hell
Mm.
Okay.
no! Like I did,
What?
I did, I did sport for the sake that, like one, my brother super athletic. Like he's like obstacle course racing championships. He's like
Hmm.
next level. He played rugby his whole life. Like things like that. I did it to just be like, hey, mom and dad, I did the thing today, and then they'd be like, great, and then look at my brother and be like,
Okay.
this is what you
I had
should
to
be, and I was
ask.
like, I'll go be
That's cool,
instructor,
man.
I
and
had to
so
ask because PT is so different
yeah,
than regular like training.
yeah,
Because at least for the both units I was with, they wake you up 5 a.m. You got your room inspection if you live in the barracks. Then
Yep.
you got the 6 a.m. formation that you have to make sure everyone's there before the 7 a.m. formation. So in between 6 and 7, they got you cleaning the floors, cleaning this and that, then form outside, come out, do their little inspection or whatever. Then eventually you do PT, and the PT sometimes was just not ran the best. And I'm like, okay. Like
Yeah.
I think I got in worse shape when I was in the
That's what a lot
military
of people do
versus when
say.
I was on
Yeah.
my own. And I'm like, this is just they just try and break you down and control every aspect of you a little bit. So that's
Oh, for
what
sure.
made me curious.
Yeah. No.
Um,
Go ahead, Obi.
yes, go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead.
All right.
Come
Well, I
on,
was just
handsome
gonna
guy.
say.
There you go.
I was just gonna say. Yeah. No. Athletic side of things weren't good for me in terms of like. I've always had body dysmorphia, right? I've had terrible body dysmorphia since I was 18, and a big part of that is that like I can put on like 3 or 4 pounds, and suddenly I feel like I'm super fat. So then that's my little drive to get out, do something, and be like, like fuck, I need to work out, I need to do something, right? And then the military kind of push down on that because then they're doing height and weight. They're doing these things where I'm like, fuck, I put on like 6 pounds, like and they're like, you're wearing an extra small, dude, and I'm like, if I could wear an extra small, I would, like, and so the athletic side of things to me was always that mental pressure as well. To be like, you have to hold to a higher standard because my brother is, or everyone around you. I was around all
Mm.
the soccer kids, football back home, they're all fucking the pretty boys that have a six packs, and they're and then there's me, just little nerdy me, you know. So it was
Just oohing it up or what?
yeah, just like
Ooh.
I was sat on the sidelines with their girlfriends chatting while they're all playing sports, and I'm just like, like I can't do that.
Dude.
And so again, when it came to the military, it was a big boundary to take over. Was like, I know I have to do this every morning. I have to keep up. I have to be a participant. And so, like you said, that
Mm-hmm.
was my motivation in itself. Was like, I don't want to lose this job. If this is just I have to get up and I work out and I do this part, just get it over with. All right, like just,
Yeah.
and then like you said though, there
Hmm.
was times where you would do like an extra long run, or you would rock somewhere and you'd get to the mountaintop and you'd just be like, damn, I feel good. Like my body
Yeah.
feels good, my mind feels clearer because I've had, especially when they rock and they tell you everyone shut the fuck up, and you just all you've got is your thoughts, right? And then you're like going through
Hmm.
the motions, and you're like, I hate my life. Why am I doing this? And then the next thing, like, this isn't so bad. That's pretty over there, And then like, yeah, it could be worse. I could be sat in an office right now, And you go through all
Mm-hmm.
this roller coaster of emotions with it, and
Hmm.
sometimes you get back and you're just like, I hate my life. I don't want to run that again. I want to throw up.
Yeah.
And then other times you're just like, no, that's what I think what I needed right then was like to be out in nature or be in my own head, just one foot in front of the other, just plodding on, like, all right, and now I made
Dude,
it.
the way that I see it, especially when it comes down to fitness, like for me, like the most important muscle is the heart. Be, I'm trying to live a very long life. I'm trying to, and not. I feel like I belong here to at least, help whether it's one or two people within my entire lifespan. It's totally okay if having that ability. When I see mortality as one of the biggest factors for my physical fitness journey, I put it to people like this. Right now, the biggest fear that everyone has in the back of their mind is death, right? Whether that's why people don't jump off of planes, right, or anything like that. They're just fearful. Like the actual root of the fear is normally the death part.
Survival.
So, mhm. And when you when you notice that and you realize, hey, this is the only thing that I should fear. How do I get myself to walk over to that gym over there and actually, get on that treadmill? Um, think when you think about yourself, uh, you know, mentally, people forget that how your body feels the moment that you wake up and get off of bed matters a lot. When you look in that mirror, you see yourself every day. whether it's subconsciously or consciously. Some people just don't like looking at themselves for whatever reason, right? But let's say, for example, you do it for you do it for you start working out and you notice little results, those little wins, bro. You have to record those. Whether like record them in your mind and remember, hey, I felt really good this day. I finished just, and it's a simple run. It was only like a mile, but I did it, and it's totally cool. And I've seen a lot of people when they do that too. They compare themselves to like their friends or their brothers or their sisters, whatever, right? They do it all the damn time. That's why I was looking at you, K9. All right, stop comparing yourself, brother. There's absolutely no need, dude. You're doing it for you. People,
There's a saying that
Mhm.
comparison is the thief of joy.
It's true. And
Yeah.
dude, when I say you're doing it for you, don't be selfish, all right? It sounds weird, right? But what I'm saying is people want to see you live.
Mm.
The best way to love everybody else is by loving yourself first. And the way you do that is you take care of yourself, man. Nice and slow, nice and steady. You don't have to do anything crazy. You know, is
Well, I got two things on that actually. So one thing that really did help me was the simplest thing of like the reward system, right? So what I used to
oh,
do was sign
mm-hmm.
up for like a lot of the virtual 5Ks, 10Ks,
Mhm.
50, whatever it was over the week. And then that way I felt like I got something else out of it. I got a medal, I got a t-shirt, I got something that said I did it. And then that's how I ended up doing the Bataan Death March, right? My friend signed me up and I was like, I don't want to do it. And then that medal was like there and I was like, I got to do it now. And then that's another big reason that I do stuff for charity because it holds me accountable. It's like you're raising money for charity. If you don't do it, you're a piece of shit. Like you just told everyone to give you money for charity and you didn't
No
do it.
way.
So that was a big motivator for me to be like, okay, like it's so simple because like I actually Miss Blondie, who you see around, I got her to
Yeah.
sign up for her first 5K for the Wounded Warrior Project. And then all of a sudden she was hitting the gym. She was like, I can't let you guys down. You know, I can't like
Let's
I've started raising
go.
money and now she like wants to do it every year and stuff. Like it's sometimes it's just that little thing to motivate you. But I was also gonna ask, Rockagoth, obviously I know you've been a bit quiet because we're a little bit overbearing sometimes, but when I first
No,
met
it's
you,
okay.
you were really into running. Right, I remember you used to message me and just be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I just got off this run and stuff." Like, how was that for you?
Yeah.
What made you enjoy running?
I don't know. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I think I did a boot camp at actually it was a YMCA. We were up
Let's
at like
go.
5 o'clock. They had us like running up like stadium stairs at like 5 in the morning and stuff. It was a lot of fun, and we did obstacle courses. And sometimes they would like make us like run around the park and stuff like that. And before the boot camp ended, they encouraged us all to like enter a 5K, and it was like the hardest 5K like I ever done, but like it was so gratifying to get it done. Then from that point on, like I was really into running. I had joined run clubs. Um, I was it was like my long-term goal to run a full marathon. I never did, but I ran a couple of half marathons. And I don't know what happened. Like I just kind of lost my fire for it. I think part of it is like the area I live in now. There's not really many sidewalks, and I'm in one of those areas where people ask you, "Oh, where are you from? What are you doing? Like, where do you live?"
Uh,
Like,
Mm.
yeah. So I don't feel comfortable running outside anymore. Though I
Mm.
really do miss it, and it was so great for my mental health because I wouldn't even really be concerned what was going on around, like with my body. It was so mental for me. It was just so nice to just be outside in nature and then kind of just listen to your thoughts and be able to kind of reflect on like a whole bunch of things. So I really miss that about running because I mean, if you're training for a half marathon, you're running like 12 to 15 miles, you're spending a lot of time with yourself. So
I think that's like a form of meditation as you're doing
it,
it, right?
it
Because
really
if
felt
you
like
think,
it. Yeah.
yeah, And see, I used to dislike running. Well, I liked it, then I disliked it, then I liked it, then I dislike it. It's like on and off for me when it comes to running. But
Yeah.
what I found myself doing recently, because I've been getting like my feet stronger, I do barefoot running. I know it sounds weird, but it's
Oh,
just to
that's
get
pretty good.
the little muscles in my toes and stuff to get a lot like stronger. So I have like these barefoot shoes that, but anyway, that motivated me to start running more. And then one day, I felt the pain in my feet and I felt the pain in my legs, right?
Oh no.
But then I noticed something else. I noticed my breath. It was going, and I'm like, dude, my breath is really good right now. Cool. Then I found myself thinking about the most random stuff, right? In my head, meditation, dude. Literally as I'm running for no reason, right?
It's just
I didn't realize that my headphones had turned off. So I'm like literally listening to my own mind just saying, like the most randomest of things. Like you remember this one time you were in middle school and you dropped this and then the teacher made fun of you. I'm like, shit. And I'm running. I'm like, and it's totally cool though, being able to like listen to your thoughts. 'Cause a lot of people tend to numb themselves by grabbing their phone and looking at Instagram or something like that. Dude, just going outside, running, walking. Dude, it feels
it's
so good. I
something
totally understand, Rock, when you're saying that. It's so cool.
something you just said
Yeah.
there is actually like very relevant right now. Is that I'm in therapy. I'm actively, I go every 2 weeks and stuff. And one of the things that I learned I do is I do numb myself. I'm not allowing myself to feel emotion, right? Because that's
Mhm.
why I love to be busy, right? As soon as I used to put it there, as like as soon as I stop, the demons come in, they start like, and I wasn't allowing that to
Yeah,
happen, right? And the
yeah,
way you're saying, like with running and stuff, is because you're still active in a way, your body is you're still moving. You're actually allowing
Yeah.
yourself to think those things whilst being productive or feeling like you keep moving, right? Because if you just sit in a dark
yeah,
room, that's when you wallow. That's when you if you're out there and you're doing something and then you allow yourself to have those dumb thoughts, I go super red if I'm embarrassed. I hate even thinking about embarrassing thoughts because I'll go bright red, like you said. Oh my god, imagine that time when you were 11 and you like fell over in front of your crush, and then I'm going red for no reason, and I'm like,
I used to
this is
hate it. I
dumb.
used to hate
Yeah.
it. But now to me it's kind of like um it's like going back to the past. And to me, I know some people don't like going back to the past because there's traumas and whatnot, right? But every once in a while, those funny ones, once the flush is gone, dude, you can't tell me you're like, that was
That was
kind of
kind of
cool.
funny. Yeah, well, that
You
was
know what I
kind of
mean? Like
funny.
that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I think that's what,
Well,
like, I was just going to say, I think that's one thing that maybe I need to start doing is trying to find my way to be like, I am active, proactive in something, whilst I allow myself to think those things. Like you said, you didn't even realize your headphones go off half the time or whatever, or,
Yeah. Just
yeah.
listen to your body, and the way to do that is by doing any form of exercise. Your body will tell you, "Hey, man, your leg hurts because you haven't been working on me. Help me, please.
Mm,
My knee hurts because you haven't worked the muscles around it. Please help me, dude." Your body screams at you. It's just a different type of scream.
yeah.
yeah, I think it was pretty cool for me because I had like personal goals I was trying to reach. It wasn't even like I was trying to be healthy. I was just into it. And then like,
Mhm.
I was trying to like work at getting faster and faster and faster. And, like I also got the benefits of being healthy too. Like when I would go in for a checkup, they would be like, "Are you okay?" Like they like have different doctors come in and check my heart rate and stuff. It was just like my heart was so efficient at that point. It was just so low. Like it just didn't need to beat as much. It was kind of crazy.
That felt great, I imagine.
Yeah, it was really, yeah. They were like, "Oh, I wish I was that fit."
Yeah, me,
See,
I
that's
those
used
All
to
me
right.
in
dislike
wins.
school.
running because did you guys have field day in like elementary school
Yeah.
Field
by
day?
chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I like about running was it takes me back to field day where it was like my classroom versus your classroom and we were just out running, just doing fun stuff, or even just a regular recess where we used to just race each other. Who's the fastest? Who's the fastest? And like one week it'd be me, another week it might be my friend, another week it might be this other random kid we never even talked to. And then we end up becoming friends with that person. And that's one thing I always liked about like track and field as well, is it's not like other sports. And you can see it in the Olympics as well, where like there is a rivalry, but I think it's handled the way rivalries should be in all sports because it's not, oh, I hate that person because they're a Patriots fan, I'm a Colts fan. Oh, we can't ever talk. Hate them, what blah blah blah. On track, if you even watch the Olympics, Shakari Richardson, she talks
Mm.
to her team on USA, and who's their biggest rivals? The Jamaican team, right? Now, if you ever see them get ready to start, they're talking to each other, they're laughing and smiling. But then when it's time to race, then yeah, it's all business. But they don't hate each other. They're not talking crazy or doing a bunch of extra stuff. It's a friendly rivalry. So like when I go out running, like I get taken back to before my back had chronic pains and before the knees and all that. Like I have like fun and I'll have headphones on, but like it's I'll remember starting like Spotify and then I won't even hear the music anymore. I'm in a whole different zone and
Yeah.
I'm just feeling good and I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep going. And then I channel like my inner Forrest Gump. It's like I made it to the pier, turned around, and kept rolling. Made it here, turned around, kept going. And the next thing I know, there's people behind me.
Yep.
But
I
yeah,
I was gonna
I don't
say
run as
for
often as I wish I could, but yeah, like running for me is just it takes me back to field day and just competing with my closest friends and just friendly competition before everything gets so a lot of static, I guess.
and I a thing on that again from what I've been learning again in therapy is that like I used to joke and then I used to be like a therapist all they got to do is be like tell me about your childhood, like how did that make you feel, right? But it's so true because like what you're discussing right now, right, is that our life is like a string of events, right, and there's like these markers in it, and as we go back and do things that we've done before like running, you're taking yourself back to a moment where you were happy, where you were running around as a kid, you were doing track day, you were like, there's so much of this that is just inbuilt, which is it's the same as trauma. There's trauma for good, and then there's like trauma like, man, I ran that 8 mile, and this takes me back, but I felt good about running those 8 miles back then, and now I can still do it, and it's all like a big loop, and you're just taking yourself back and listening to you guys like that, I'm thinking back to mine, and I'm just like, oh, we did the relay, and like, yeah, I remember because it's bad, but like we had houses, so there was yellow, blue, green, and red, and it was literally family members. So it was fucking Harry Potter, right? And then you were competing not academically as well, but fitness wise. And I was thinking like, yeah, I remember having pride in our little house and remembering that like I wasn't good at the long jump, but I could run, or so again, now I'm just thinking happy memories of like, yeah, fitness wasn't that
Dude,
bad back
that's
then.
good.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
I think we have to always think of the fun parts before you do the gym thing because what happens a lot of the time is like, man, it's gonna be painful. I'm not looking forward to, picking this weight
Mhm.
up, dude. It's gonna be painful. But if you think about it's always good for me, right? I love this. It actually, and then you put that in your mind consistently. You remember the good times that you've had at the gym, and you're like, I can make new memories.
Mm.
And it's really good. It's
Mhm.
really cool. Um,
So were there any more final thoughts before we move on to K9?
let's see.
Uh,
Yeah, I saw here somebody said that they do hikes. Uh,
mhm,
If
that
you,
was
someone
nature.
does, yeah. So I'm a big fan of hiking. Big fan. I actually do a lot of my training for hiking. A lot of people hate it, especially a lot of us guys that have been in the military, because our hikes were not fun
They were
at
not.
all. We had like 80 to 120-pound packs, depending on what you're doing,
Ooh.
going up hills and not really slowing down. Now it was worse if you were short. You know, it was. But anyway, big fan. What I do in the gym to prepare for the hikes is I make myself strong enough where if the person that I'm with breaks their leg, I can carry them, which is important. And so with that motivation in mind, um, I when I'm doing like an exercise or something, I'm like, this is my brother that I'm picking up. and it's really cool. Anyway, that's all I
I
got for
do it
final
to fight
thoughts.
off
Just
mountain lions. I take a plushy mountain lion to the gym, and I'm like,
yeah,
just
sometimes
So
I'll leave
Obscure, I
with
got a
it.
quick question for you.
Yeah,
So you said you were a Marine, right?
yeah, Marine
And you
Corps.
trained at Fort Sill for
Yeah, I
artillery?
did. That's right.
So
I did do Fort
same
Sill.
here, except I was Army.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you end up getting sent to Korea by chance?
No, I did not.
Oh,
No.
okay. Just curious, because I was like, man, you're saying everything that I did.
Dude.
It's just kind of crazy. Because I was FDC as well. I was
Damn,
13
I'm the only
Delta,
gun
which
bunny.
apparently no longer
What?
exists.
You're
Yeah.
also FTC? That's
Yes,
hilarious, dude.
sir.
Nerds. Nerds.
Whatever, man. Oh, gun bunny over here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then when you're saying like hikes, military definitely killed my love for hikes. I need to get back into it.
Right?
So we had there was I can't even think. There was a march we had to do. And I swear the hill was so inclined. It was terrible. And I had a buddy, I'm 6'3", and he was about 6'3", 6'4" as well. And they do tallest to the back. You know how that goes. And
Yeah.
Painful.
then they're like, okay, we'll let you just stagger it, just don't pass your drill sergeant. So I'm okay. So we're all the way in the back. We end up almost making it to the front, and there was a couple people who were about to fall out, and I took the person's pack, and then he picked up the actual person, and we made sure we were getting them to finish this ruck. I couldn't think of ruck march for some reason, but yeah, we get them all the way to the next checkpoint, and like I don't know why. I feel like they're trying to kill morale, but the drill sergeant said enough of that. They need to carry their own stuff. They need to blah blah blah. And like me and him are in the mindset of no man left behind. We saw someone struggling. We need to get them to the finish line. And like them forcing us to go all the way to the back of the line, saying nobody can help anybody anymore. Like it was such a morale changer. But because we had each other, it's like, hey man, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I got you. You got me. Let's just keep it going.
When the drill
And if
sergeant's
anyone
not
starts,
looking, give that shit to me. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what we were doing. Like, come on, y'all. Cause like we just because I think he was worried, but for me, I'm like, I usually get a song in my head or the radio. I'm notorious for singing random songs and things. I no singing voice. I ain't singing karaoke, but like just to lift the mood up, just random things. And I'm like, all right, let's go, let's go, let's go. We got this, we got it. And just start singing like Sir Mix-a-Lot Big Butts or something like that. And it's like it gets you guys laughing, and like then you're
Wasting
not
that suck.
focused. Yeah, you're not thinking about your legs hurting anymore. You're like, oh, I need to keep going. Or you're
It's
gonna
all right.
try
They
and
went
keep up
numb,
with me. Yeah.
It went numb like 2 miles back.
Yeah, I
So
just
like
got
I'm
Mhm.
surprised. I feel like I'm floating right now, you know?
Yeah. So it's like when you have someone with you as well, like you may be struggling, and whatever you're doing to cope, I say, might help them cope as well to get going. And for me, if I see someone with me also trying to go, that helps me. So it's like a mutual I help you, then you help me type of relationship. And like things that were hard become a little bit easier. And I guess maybe it is just a mental thing, but like that pack doesn't hurt as much when you have somebody beside you going step by step with you that is on your same type of time, like not trying to screw you over, not trying to do whatever, but when they're there with you, it just helps a lot. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right.
Um,
So, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say the closing thought, just because I'm pretty sure we're done with it. I was gonna say, look, you want to get fit and strong. I always say, just walk into the gym. Just walk in there. Like you don't have to do anything special. The moment that you walk in there, you're like, and you look over, you're like, I'm here already. I might as well go pick up that weight, or I might as well just get on that treadmill for like 5 minutes. And you're 5 minutes in, and you're like, Well, I think I can go another 5 minutes actually. This doesn't feel too bad. Just just arriving, putting that foot in will make all the difference. Don't be scared, because there's only one thing to fear, and I guess that is death. But when you're working at the gym, all you're working on is your life.
Mm, that makes a lot of sense.
I like it.
To like integrate working out with just normal stuff in your life, like maybe go out for a walk. If you're going to go to the store, instead of like taking an Uber or whatever, like walk to the
Mhm.
store, even if it's like a couple of miles away. That'll be your workout. Like just
Mm.
try to integrate it more into your everyday life, like if you can't afford like a gym membership and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I
Rocky
mean, just
Balboa.
walking out, to like to go get
Mhm.
to the groceries. Sometimes you'll notice something that um, just kind of stands out. For example, I went, when I go to the store, I noticed like this particular bush, and during the spring, I didn't know this, but it has like a bunch of flowers, and they look amazing. They're like red, white, purple, and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? And now when I walk over there, I look forward to it. Like, yo, I'm gonna see the little bush of flowers, and it's
Yeah.
the little things that really hit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like outside's such a great distraction too. You're just too busy
Yeah.
looking around, right? And you don't even really,
Hmm.
but when you're like stuck on a treadmill for however long, it's like you're very aware that you are there, right?
Mm.
You're just like, oh, I've been on here for a while. Um, but yeah, let's move on to Canine. So Canine is up next, and he will be talking about seeking help and support, and dismantling the stigma around getting that help and support. So take it
Um,
away,
yeah,
Canine.
sure. I know we've been yapping for a bit, but if anyone don't know me, I'm K9. I am a charity and variety streamer by nature. Charity is a big push for me to stream. It gets me over my self-confidence and stuff, my self-esteem issues, everything like that, because I have purpose with it. But I am also, as you can tell by now, British, but I'm in the US military. I moved over here 2018, enlisted in 2020. But I have also had a lifetime before the military. So I've had my stigma and stuff before the military and in the military. And guess what? They do not change in ways because the reason I wanted to talk about this topic is that when you are in these things, depression, anxiety, PTSD, all these things, right? We've been inbuilt to see them as a weakness, right? But as Obi said earlier, there's a reason behind things, right? Like fear, for example. Fear is there to help you survive. Anxiety is there to help you survive, right? Depression is there because it's your body telling you that something is wrong. The synaptic nerve is a big part of that, which basically shuts your body down and says, like,
Oh
your
yeah.
mental state is not good, right? And it's going to put you in survival mode. A way that I was taught is like, imagine a giant eagle picks you up and you just play dead because you know your fate. You're just like, all right, like, I don't know, well, I can't escape this situation. But really, that's just survival instincts kicking in. We have a big mental side to that that is saying, like, hey, I need help. I need someone to understand this, or I need to get this across. Now, I, like I said, when I was 18, I went through an eating disorder, right? And I was very adamant I wasn't going through that. But everyone around me is like, he's not eating. He'll go 7 days without a proper meal. He'll just be drinking Monster or milkshakes because that was my little, oh, I'm getting nutrients. It's dumb. But my head's telling me that's fine, you know? And then as soon as people would talk to me about it, I would shut down. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't know how to talk about it because it turns out it was all some deep set stuff from an ex and what happened there. And I wasn't thinking. Now, when it came to progressing on, I had help from people like my cousins. They just knew what to do. She would send me Batman quotes every day, right? And it was so dumb, but it was a little thing that I looked forward to waking up and was hearing like something positive, something like, you know. And then I didn't seek help for that. I tried to do that by myself. Now, when it came to the military, it was piled on like 4 or 5 times harder, right? Because I do have diagnosed severe depression, severe anxiety, again, body dysmorphia, all these things, right? And it wasn't until I got back from my overseas rotation that they were like, you really need help. Like, and I was like, I feel like okay though. And they're like, no, you're really suffering, but you're just too scared to tell anyone, right? And as
Mm.
these guys will know, mental health in the military has only been a big thing these last few years. Before, they said, suck it up, buttercup. Like, you're in the goddamn military.
Yep.
We ain't got time for this shit.
Yep.
Like, you're hurting. I don't give a fuck. The mission comes first, right? You
Yep.
try and go to EBH, behavioral health, you were the biggest shitbag there ever was. Because it's not like breaking your leg where they could see a cast, right? And go, he has broke his leg. Even then, these guys will know physical stuff doesn't stop you half the time. They'll still be like, you're going to the field whether you like it or not. You'll just have to sit on the box, or you'll have to, you'll figure it
Yeah.
out. And you're like, but like, I need to make hospital appointments and that. And they're like, we'll get you back in time. Don't worry. But, so mental health was an even bigger one to fight, right? Where you're just like, I don't know. At the time I started my divorce, I never told any of my leadership I put a gun to my head, right? And then I had to go in the next day and act like I was fine, right? When really I'd been sat there and gone, you guys didn't know that you were about to get a phone call, right? Saying that he wasn't turning up to work no more, like, and it's your fault that you didn't give him the time to process these things, to figure this stuff out, right? And as Obi said, as Pain and Sorrow said, like, we've lost a lot of good people for that, right? If anyone doesn't
Yeah.
know, it's 22 a day, right? That are unwilling to seek the help, or if they have tried seeking the help, it's been squashed, right? And you're just told, yeah, I'm sad too. And it's like, kind of goes a bit deeper than that, or finding purpose. Finding purpose is such a big one. There's a lot of people that get out of the military, and the military was their whole identity. It was everything they were. They don't have the brotherhood or the sisterhood that they had in the military. They don't have the camaraderie. They don't have the routine, the regiment. They're just thrown to the wolves and are like, figure it out again. And you're like, I don't know. You used to tell me what to wear, literally. Like I've been so ingrained, right? And so I was one of those people that never got my physical injuries looked at, which is why I'm now being med boarded. 2 years, I found out that my shoulder's been grinding itself apart because I was too scared to tell anyone about it. Right? Now, I'm going through that physical side and the mental side. And people are like, why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you say anything? And I was like, because you made me feel like shit for speaking up. Right? You made me feel like a terrible soldier, even though I was like a PV2 PFC running a gun section. But yeah, as soon as I said, can I go to EBH, you made me feel like shit for it. Like, I just want to talk about, my divorce or something. And they're like, you'll get over it. You'll find someone else, And it's like, the tempo is just there. It's non-stop, right? And I got to a point where I was just like, there is nothing wrong in me saying I'm fucked up. Now, some people call that it's okay to not be okay. No, I'm okay with saying I was fucked up. All right, like
Yeah.
there was so much going on in here that I would blow up on people for no reason. I would be like passed out constantly, and I'd get to a point where I just shut down. I was in autopilot. People would have say like, "Oh, you're charismatic," or "You're funny," and that was just a defense mechanism to be like, "Just get away from me." Like, if I say a funny thing, you're gonna go, "Hey, he's great." Oh, fuck off, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
literally just like, let me be myself, right? And so, again, I apologize, swearing like a sailor, but it's Team
Ah,
Army,
you're fine.
right?
Dude,
But
come
You're
on.
good, yeah.
and so for me, it was a really big battle myself to finally get that help. Where I was like, do you know what? I don't even. How do I tell my leadership? Like, by the way, I have an EBH appointment. How do I tell someone like when I walk into that place what I'm really going through? How do I open up? I don't know how to. I've never been taught how to express my feelings like that. And then have someone listen to me and actually genuinely feel like I'm listening. Because we have friends. They'll say, I'm listening, and they stick with you. But at the end of the day, it's like they're not therapists. They're not psychologists. They're not knowing the deeper side of that. And I didn't want to admit to myself that like I was truly broken in that sense because I'm stubborn. Like I'll keep going. You tell me to keep going, I'll keep going. But then when someone's telling you like, no, you needed this. You were on the brink. It's hard. So the reason I wanted to talk about that subject is that it's not just the military, right? It's
Yeah.
it is honestly the civilian world. We never know what someone is going through, right? We walk down the street and we're like, damn, I'm going to judge you because you did that action. But you don't know. Maybe they've zoned out because they're thinking about how they just lost a relative. Or you're like, oh, this dude fucking cut me off in traffic. What a piece of shit. Maybe he's speeding home because, you know, he's like on the brink of something. There's people like me that, as you were talking about intrusive thoughts, my intrusive thoughts used to be, I'm going to just run every red light, and if something happens to me, something happens to me. Right? Where I was just like, I don't, as Obi said, like, you can fear death. At the time, I did not fear death one bit. In fact, I embraced it. I was like, if you can catch me, catch me. Like,
Yeah.
I will do everything in my power to just not be here, right? And then it wasn't until she's actually in here now. The Lala Lee is lurking, and then she was like, "You're you're being really selfish with that thought about the red lights." And I was like, "How?" Like, and she's like, "What if I was driving the car with my family or something, and you killed me and you survived?" And then I was like, "Damn, yeah." Like, I was kind of. I'm
Yeah.
not selfish for thinking those things about myself, but what does that impact other people, right? But then it opened up a conversation even more about how I was truly feeling and allowed her to understand what I was feeling, me to vent and express myself, and we kind of make a common ground. And I
Mhm.
think that's such a big part of things is trying to sit there and actually listen to someone, to hear someone and go, man, I could have been reading your obituary right now, but instead I'm actually hearing what you're going through. And it's such a big part because, like I said, we've just lost like I think last year alone was 5 people close to me in my unit, my battalion. We even had people of high ranks, Chief Warrant 3, right? You think they got their shit together? No, we're all human. Like
Nah, you're
so,
right on that, man. Two
like
people
Mhm.
in my unit just recently as well. Rest
yeah.
in peace.
Mm.
Yeah, and
I
it's such a hard thing to think about when you're like, I used to see that person walking down the corridor every day, and I didn't think to try and brighten their day or understand them. And I'm not saying you should go up to everyone and be like, "What are you thinking? Are you okay?" But like the small positive impact in life, right? Noticing changes in behavior, noticing that like, hey, like, do you want that sidebar conversation? Like, you're acting a bit differently, or you've been zoning out a lot. Like, are you good? Do you want to talk about your thoughts? Like, your military guys a lot of the time are like, why are you like hitting on me or something? Like, you're like, nah, man, I just actually want to know, like, are you good? Like, and be honest with me. So I feel like we've only just started beginning really cracking that stigma side of things, right?
Mm.
There's commercials on TV now. There's people being like, here's outreach, here's numbers to call, 988 for veterans and things like that. Like, we're only just at the tip of the iceberg, but it really does change with all of us actually
Yeah.
willing to accept what people are going through and trying to learn how to cope with that. Have any of you guys had any experiences that you want to talk about with breaking the stigma or people, you know, like
um
therapy?
let's see, I kind of well, first of all, K9, thank you for sharing
Yeah, thank
earlier.
you.
Um
Yeah.
I'm actually very happy that I exist on this planet and you're here as well. So
And then you do it. There you
that kind of hit hard.
go. Yeah.
Sorry, because
Mhm.
I mean, we're in the military. We've seen some people just, you see them one day and then the next day they're not there. So Um, the way that because I also went through like my fair share of trauma, but it actually didn't start in the military, but rather because I lived in, not so wonderful neighborhood. And so I met and had people around me that consistently did very negative things. Um, and in order to protect myself, I would, join them. And that wasn't necessarily a really good thing, but it, I did it nonetheless. And during that time, it's very similar to in the military in the aspect of when they tell you to do something, right? They expect you to do it. No ifs, whats, and buts, right? And they don't even check on you like how you are doing. The one thing that really stood out to me, by the way, Kanan, when you were talking about you know, that leadership that didn't help you, um, I realized that the universe kind of spins in a particular way where now I know and I see you, Canine. I think that you would make a wonderful leader because you went through it, you've done it, you've seen it, you know how somebody might feel when you see them in a certain circumstance. When you also mentioned being in a car and passing the red lights, or people that are just honking their horn, I learned my lesson personally when I was driving and I saw this dude just honking away. We were going through this like uphill and a lot of turns and stuff, right? This guy is just honking away at this poor person in front of him. And as it turns out, it was a pregnant lady and she was terrified. She normally doesn't even drive, dude. He didn't, and he felt bad afterwards, right? But we can't just assume what the other person is feeling when you're doing that kind of thing. I actually don't. But I don't use my. I only honk if it's necessary.
Dangerous,
Like it's
yeah. It's
very
like
rare.
safety.
Yeah, yeah. But that's about it. I actually just don't like doing it, just because of that. By the way, sorry. Going back to I guess you can call it like gang affiliations. Back when I was there, I got lucky. I actually have to admit, I found someone who was very spiritually inept. They like studied like Buddhism and all kinds of things. Just kind of came up to me and started talking to me, right? And um, they just said, "Do you ever just listen?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, do you ever just listen to yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, all the time." I'm like, "No. Do you sit there and really listen to yourself? Because I can tell that you're in pain."
Mm.
And I'm like, immediately when they said that, right? I'm like trying my hardest to not think about it.
Mm.
And then I realized, wait, that was the issue in the first place. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding it. I'm avoiding the feelings. And so once I sat there and, cried my eyes out, because I did,
Yeah. Nothing
and
wrong with that.
then, dude, just being heard and you listening to yourself is like so it feels wonderful when you're going through it, man. Nah, that's all I got, Kanan.
Yeah,
You
no.
bastard. You made me tear up.
Uh,
I love you.
but that's another thing,
Aw.
right? Everyone presumes that, especially in our nature of work or anything,
Yeah.
like, oh, men shouldn't cry, people shouldn't cry, suck it up, whatever. Like, I'll admit to you guys right now, I was fucking bawling my eyes out to my first sergeant the other day because, like, like I had Huey with me and that, and he was like, "Man, it's cool. Like, just be." And that was because I had to talk about my ex-wife having strokes, and the fact that the military kept fucking me over and wouldn't get her the care she needed. She actually died when I was NTC. They revived her. And he was like, "Dude, I can see why you're fighting this so hard right now. You're fighting for yourself. You're fighting for, And then it's like that big release of like, oh my God, like I didn't mean to do that. Like I'm here bawling my eyes out all of a sudden. And it's natural. I don't think, you know, people should ever feel like they shouldn't feel the emotions, and that's coming from someone that's always shut off his emotions.
Mhm.
Like so what you're saying, like actually listening to yourself and going, why am I hurting over this subject? And then you're realizing, like, man, I had this incident, or I knew this person and I didn't see the signs, or maybe I was being a dick to that person that was potentially going through something, and like that's why, like, yeah,
Yeah,
we're all
yeah.
guilty of it. Like, someone's driving a bit like an asshole, you're gonna be like, hey, what the fuck, But like, then there's a part of me that reels it back in, and I just go, it's not that deep. No one got hurt. Like, maybe there's something going on with them, Like, I can't judge what's happening, And I try and do that wherever I can. I try and take a moment and go, how are people perceiving me? They see me as the class clown. They see me as, I call it the little British dancing monkey, right? Because they get me out and I do
What?
my little thing and I like, and then everyone's like, yay, morale. And then meanwhile, I'm just like, man, I wish I didn't wake up this morning, and then, but they don't see that. And then I'm like, but you have to see how others are, and it is what it is. Like, I'm dealing with those things. And as you said, you guys are a big amount of purpose for me, right? Like, I'm very thankful to be in this moment talking to you guys about this sort of stuff, potentially helping someone in chat go through something, food for thought, whatever it is. Because Twitch itself was a big purpose. Huey was the one that saved me by those big brown beautiful eyes of his going, why are you doing that? Like, where are you going? And then after that, that's when I jumped on Twitch and I started meeting you guys and finding purpose again, and meeting all these friends, getting to discuss my experiences, which is why, yeah, sometimes I'll cry about it, but other times I'm just open to it because I've learned how to express and compartmentalize that. Okay, maybe it's an experience for people. Maybe people have gone through something similar and can relate. Especially again, you military lot are like, we've all seen it. In the civilian world, it's harder for
Yep.
people to actually see those things because they're not told to be a certain standard. We're told you will be this, and then when something's off, you're like, suspicious. People are all
Yeah.
different, So the civilian world is harder to be like, man, I haven't heard from my friend in a couple of weeks, Last I heard, he wasn't doing so good, but it's fine. And then the next thing, someone's like, hey, did you hear about, so and so? And you're like, man, I could have taken that minute to reach out, or I was thinking about him. So now, even that, if I'm like, hey man, I was just thinking about you. Like, do you remember that time we did this? And it's just a little like, man, that's a random thought, but it opens up a conversation. It's like an icebreaker, and then all of a sudden someone goes, I'm not doing too hot, and you're like, what's up, man? And so yeah, that's that for me is a big part of why I do a lot of stuff for the charities I do, because we can all do our part. I'm not saying give money to charity all the time, whatever. Money is money and whatever. Like, just the little things, that passing comment in a hallway could be someone's make or break moment where they're like, they actually noticed me in the hallway, like, no, everyone's just walked by me today, and I don't care if it's a private or goddamn sergeant major, like, but like, just a little good morning, or a little like, hey man, I see you, or those little things that I feel like we all have needs as people, and a lot of those times those needs are unfulfilled and we don't even know it. To be
Yeah.
seen, to be heard, to recognize that something's going on in our life, to have someone that would actually be willing to listen. And that's a big part of why I don't mind trauma dumping to a degree in my chat. Obviously, read the room. All right, like, some people might be laughing and joking and doing something, and then if you come in, you may get mixed up in that, and they might be like, don't realize the severity of things. But yeah, DMs are open, like, things like that. Talk to people,
Mhm. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that, opening up and being vulnerable in such a public space really normalizes, being able to be vulnerable, and, your topic of how to, like, decrease the stigma around it. I think this is a very important part of it, is being very forthcoming about, opening yourself up. It's okay to feel like this. It's okay to have these thoughts, but deal with them in a healthy way. Make sure you reach out and get help. It's okay to get help.
Yeah, and I will say to make a note of that as well. I want to thank Rockagoth for being the first person to actually do a mental health month that I noticed on here, right? Picnic Blanket Doodles, who's in chat and that. I've got up the poster on my wall of her little promo and that, like when we all did it and that. And it's like
Yeah,
reminders
it was
like
so
that,
pretty.
like, exactly, like the little reminders that, like, like you said, this is an excellent platform for everyday people to share experiences, right? And it's because of people like yourself, Rocket Goth, who snowball that. Because I would have never have said, I'll start a podcast and I'll, I'll talk about mental health. But here we are, like, And so again, I commend you for that, being one of those pioneers to me of like, okay, I'm willing to talk. I never had people like
Yeah.
that, especially not in front of others. As I go back with the confrontation thing. Some people need to do it in front of a crowd, right? They're the soapbox people. They need to be like, I want you to do this with me. And then other people are like behind closed doors. And
Yeah.
so this is a great way that people that are willing to can be on that soapbox, can be on the, you know, talking to a couple of other people as a panel, and then someone in the crowd is like, you know what, like, I dealt with that, and or maybe I didn't think of that, or so again, thank you for doing that, and you know, allowing us to be here
Yeah, I
today,
mean,
helping organize it.
oh, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, I love doing mental health streams, and you're the one who had the idea for this one, so I'm glad we got to
It's
do
all
this.
you. It's all you.
Um,
Don't make me cry.
yeah, and I feel like Mr. Pain and Sorrow is kind of like he's new here, and
Hmm.
you seem to like fit in very well, and everybody's been so friendly. So I hope everybody's been enjoying the talk. Were there any final thoughts about K9's topic?
I have a couple, I suppose. I can
Yeah.
relate very strongly to a lot of what you were saying, you and Obscure. Um, for Obscure's part, when I was younger, I'd say maybe like 12, 13, somebody thought I was a gang member and they shot me in my chest.
Jesus,
And
that
like,
escalated quickly.
I was on my bike leaving my cousins, and like, I remember the door opening, someone yelling, and there was a flash, and then just this burning
Ooh.
sensation. And they ran up to finish me, and they said, "That's not him." And then they left me there, and like I had to get all the way back to my house, and I remember grabbing my dad, and just everything else after that is black. Um, we were very poor and we couldn't really afford going to the hospital and everything. But my dad's a Marine, Vietnam vet, and he took care of me. I basically missed out on my entire summer that year, of course. But like, I have a permanent scar on my chest and everything. And I'd say from that moment, me and my dad were never like super, super close just because of all other things, but that made us closer. And it just made me not like gang activity and stuff like that at all, and it completely changed who I was then to now. And then going to what you're saying, what your chain of command in the military, I'm like, a lot of them haven't seen combat, and I've seen gang stuff. I've been a victim of gang stuff. Like, that's combat. Even if you don't
Yeah.
wanna believe it, like, that happens. And going to more information, somebody unalived themselves from a Tory, and I saw, I think, 3 mindsets from that, from, 3 different people. There's people who understand it, and, like, he lost his battle with this, like, it's very sad, let's get him down, like, we hate that this happened. There's people who said that he was weak, he couldn't put up with it, and that we need to just get the formation and let whoever handle it, which just didn't seem care. And then the third one was kind of people who just didn't get it. Like, why would someone do something like this? I don't get it. Why? Like, couldn't he just do blah blah blah? Couldn't he do blah blah blah? And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas, but they just didn't understand it.
Mm.
So with the military, it's just kind of like a lot of them, I think, also need help. And I've had one NCO who tried to help me with my own issues, and I was seeing someone when I was in the service, but they, I guess, wasn't licensed to diagnose anything. They just let you talk to that person. And I wish every base could have something like that where you could just go and talk to someone because it helped a lot to get me through my Fort Campbell days because it was just, I don't know, every other week something bad was happening. And then, once you leave the service, you have to put yourself back into a civilian mindset. And for me, it wasn't too hard to do, but I was still dealing, even today, I guess, I'm still dealing with a lot of traumas, and you never know what's going to make it happen. And like you were saying, you put a gun in your head. I played Russian roulette because I was just done with everything. Um, and it didn't happen. A friend of mine seen it because I think I was live on something. I don't even know. And he came and just hung out with me. Said we can do whatever. And like him just hanging with me helped a lot. And I was like, you know what? The way he helped me is the way I kind of want to help others. So anytime, like if I'm on and I'm streaming or something like that, if somebody wants to trauma dump, I'm like, come on in. Just let me know what's going on. Like I can give up my stream for to let you trauma dump if I know like it's gonna help you see tomorrow.
Mm.
I don't mind giving you whatever time I have to help you out because somebody gave me time to help me out, type of thing. And if you don't want to do it in the stream or whatever, I'm like, yeah, like you said, DMs are open. Like, I will talk to you about whatever. I'll tell you all the crazy stories I have about all the crazy things I've been through, all the crazy stuff I've seen. Like, whatever you need, I'll be that shoulder for you to cry on. I'll lend an ear for you to yell, scream, cuss out, whatever you need. Like, hey, let me try and help you. And then if I can't do it, I will pass you to I'll give you the 800 numbers if you need that, the 900 numbers, whatever, but like life is definitely a battle and like I understand it. And I think a lot of us who reach this point, I mean, we're all talking on here about mental health.
Yeah.
We all have an understanding on it versus people which uh, I'm glad everyone doesn't have traumas. Everyone doesn't have to go through things. I don't want to say you need to go through that type of stuff, but like, bravo to you for making it so far without ever having to deal with anything.
Mm.
Like, I don't want you to have to,
Mm.
but for those of us who have to, like, I'm glad you're here today.
Very
Yeah.
well said. Very well said on that. Yeah, I'm the same. I think, like we said, sometimes people are forged through pain. Sometimes people are lucky enough to not experience these things. But I feel like I seen a very good analogy of it the other day, where again, obviously dog related, but there's a Great Dane and there's a corgi in a muddy field, right? And the mud is up to his nose for the corgi, and then it's barely touching the knees of the Great Dane, right? And it's just like what is a muddy field for you might be like a deep puddle for someone else, and that's just because they haven't experienced anything like that before. So like sometimes you get to that point where you're just like, okay, I get it. This seems like a big deal, and I'm really trying to calm you down, and it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, you have to kind of listen to someone and go, man, I get it now. Like, it could be something as dumb as tax season. Oh my God, I've never done my taxes before. And like, we got that as privates, right? Where you got these people that are freaking the fuck out, and you're like, dude, there's way more, like, worse things in the world, but they've never experienced that. Or then the next thing is like a death of a relative. They've been very fortunate to, go through life, and then now they're experiencing it. Something like that. you know, it's kind of one of those where you're like, it's gonna hurt, you know. We learn to adapt, survive, overcome, all that sort of fun stuff. But it's like, yeah, we really don't know, like people's other stories. Like, like that's a crazy story that you're saying about that you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time because someone thought of some, Obi was in
Bro,
jungle,
that story
like
is
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah,
Like you said you were 12, right? Or something like that?
Yeah.
Dude, the amount of wisdom that the moment after you woke up and you realized I'm good, you know, must have been insane. You actually got to see mortality firsthand. You got
Hmm.
to experience that fear, the anxiety. A lot of people don't get to feel that until their last moments. You felt that at the age of 12, dude. That is probably crazy. Maybe the universe gave you that wisdom because it expects you to help someone else with it.
Yeah.
It's really really crazy story, man. Holy crap.
One day I sat and I was having a talk with someone, I forget now, and I think I may have died at least 4 times in my life.
jeez,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
Um, when I was a baby, I died for, like, I forget, 30, 45 seconds, whatever. Before they could say I'm brain dead and wrap it up, they had a coffin picked out for me. I don't know what happened, but I stopped breathing and turned purple, and I was out I had 2 seconds before they called time of death.
mm,
So
Mhm.
that happened to me. When I got shot and the blood loss, that happened to me. And there was a time they thought I basically had like a cancer scare where I just couldn't hold down food. I started having nosebleeds. I kept throwing up and like I was out for I forget how many days. So that one was a bad one. And
Jesus.
then in the military, another cancer scare where I couldn't hold down food again, nosebleeds and things. And I didn't leave my room for like a week before someone came to check on me and got me to the hospital. And they got me back. But yeah. So there was 4 times in my life, and I'm like, you know what? I'm still here, still going. And then my Russian roulette game, I guess if you want to count that,
mm,
that'll be 5,
yeah,
where the gun
Definitely
just
counts,
didn't
yeah.
go off. But it's just, yeah, I'm here.
right. You do have those moments. I know Rock Goth wants to move on a bit with the subjects and that, but I
We,
can
we
tell you,
can we can keep talking about this if you want. I know Mr. Pansaro has to get going soon,
yeah.
so
Uh,
we can continue to talk about this and just do another mental health stream if you want.
I sent them a
And
message saying I'm gonna be late.
yeah, you sure? You sure?
Yeah,
I
it'd
don't
be
want to mess up
fine.
your stream schedule.
So
It'd be
Okay.
fine.
again, like
Okay.
I haven't seen combat, right? So I'm not a combat vet. However, like, you know, there are times even with training, we've lost people whilst training. They just lost 4 soldiers alone recently in Lithuania. But I can tell you a very near-death experience
Oh.
that was actually very, as you said, like you realize mortality, right? And I was the driver of the M1096 Alpha 6 Paladin. Basically, for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it looks like a tank. It is not a tank. All right, it's artillery. We were doing a joint Air Force shoot, and it was our turn to fire. Now, as the driver, you've got a helmet on. All you hear is everyone in the background, fire mission, shell, AG, fuse, BD, blah. And this is going to trigger them. They're already going down the line. They're calling it to us. We're in
Dude.
the moment. The adrenaline's going. We're pumped, right? I'm in the front, and all I can hear is this giant engine next to me, the whirring of the turrets and things going above my head. My hatch is open, which is not a good idea, but I had no light whatsoever. So the hatch was open. Um, and it's chaos in the back. All you hear is our crew members. They're slinging that round in. They're getting it. They're prepping it, everything. And then I hear, permission to fire, permission to fire, fire, and nothing goes off, right? And I'm just the driver. I'm just like, like nothing went off, right? All right. cold tube procedures, blah blah blah, right? Like warm tube procedures, prime, ready to fire, fire. Nothing goes off, right? But then all of a sudden it goes silent for me, apart from what's called a shot key, right? And it goes boop, 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 or dee doo dee doo dee doo. Is the sound that they make right in my ears, and I'm like, I'm not hearing anything. It's now gone 30 seconds. I'm not hearing anything, right? And then a minute goes by, and I'm just sat in my hatch, and I'm like, fuck, they've evacuated. That thing didn't go off. It's got stuck in the tube, right?
Oh wow.
And the
Oh
tube
my
is above my
god,
head,
dude.
right? Now
A
I'm like,
misfire.
fuck, what do I do? Because if like, I can either put this bitch in forward and just drive away from the gun line and hope she blows up, all right? Or I can try and get out. So I'm like there scrambling. My IOTV, my kit is stuck. So now I'm stuck in the gun. It's caught on everything. I'm really trying to get out. Thank fuck my chief had some balls, because he comes running up and he's pulling me from the gun as that, that thing is hot. It's live above my
Yeah.
head, So he eventually like drags me out. I throw my kit off. I'm like, if I'm dying, I'm gonna try and get as fast as I'm dying comfy and I'm trying to run as fast as I can. And at Obi, I know we talked about this where you said like you're just like stumbling over everything. It's not graceful.
Dude.
When life is on the line. You are just
Yeah.
getting out of dodge.
Mhm.
And I remember that feeling of just being like, I was willing to drive it away, but on the other hand, in my head, it was like everything is flashing through your head. Oh my god, my missus is at home. Did I ever fix the fridge? Oh my god, I haven't told my family that I love them recently. Oh, I wonder if the dog's in there. And it's like everything just flooding through your head, right?
Bunch of chatter.
Yeah, it is. It's just
Mhm.
noise. It's just noise. And you're like, dude. And then we got EOD out. It was fine. But like, man, that was like that moment where I was just like, man, this is it. This is the one. Like, I get to go to Valhalla in a blaze of glory. But, like on the other hand,
Yeah.
like, what a sucky way to die. I've got so much to do, like, and I'm about to get blown up for a dumb training mission? Hell no. Like,
Dude.
yeah.
That's crazy.
was-
We all did artillery.
Yeah, look, I was me and Caitlin were talking about one time I also had a misfire when I went to one of the guns, and you hear that audible thump, which means the round got stuck in the tube, and it's like I'm not sure if it's spun enough where I'm gonna get like destroyed. But I was telling him that I had my rifle on me, had full gear, right, and we're just kind of like we hear that audible thump, and so all of us like within a second we look at each other and we start sprinting, like just trying to get away from the whole thing, right? Dude, I don't know why, but I kept eating shit. Like I ate shit like 3 times. Like I fell, like and when you get up and you're like, all right, no, I'm good, and you immediately fall again. That happened. So like that happened like 3 times, and then the last one is that I was running with a rifle, and I fall. The barrel hits the floor, and the buttstock smacks me right in the mouth and breaks my tooth, dude. And I'm just like, at that point, I just kind of laid down, like, you know what, just fucking do it, just blow up already. I've embarrassed myself enough, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what just like saying you again, just crazy experiences, and like mine was never to that degree of like I was literally shot like you were, and you know were potentially meeting whatever maker you believe in, but like you have that moment when you're in a life or death situation, right, where it just everything just suddenly is like a filing cabinet bursting open, and it's like going through them all, and it's like, oh, here's did this happen, this, oh, I remember this, and it's crazy when you think like that we have that mental capacity to suddenly be overloaded with information. And again, from like a baseline survival thing, that's all it is. It's our body trying to be like, what do I do in this situation? Panic. No, don't feed the dog. Like do this. Oh, run. That's the one I'm looking for, like.
Yeah, run.
Yeah, so.
With my 2 left feet, man, that was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, hopefully the dentist fixed your tooth,
No, I lost it.
He
Dang
lost
it,
it.
I actually lost. Okay, I don't know if you remember, but I told you that so that was one time that I messed it up. One time I was eating with like a metal fork and I forgot because it was during the time when you're stressed, you just don't think about what you're when you're eating. You have something in your mouth. I like bite into the damn fork
No,
and I hit the same tooth,
I did that
right?
before.
That's two times, and then the third time I was doing my martial arts. I don't know how I blocked this punch, dude, but my jaw kind of like moved a little bit. Same tooth, bro, three times. Same tooth. It's like, why the one tooth? Like poor tooth. Anyway, I lost the damn tooth, and I had one implanted, but damn.
Didn't catch a break.
Well, no, that tooth. Yeah, it took a beating, man.
And, I was going to say, I know, like I said, we've been yapping and that, but Rock, did you want to get onto your topic?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'm the last one to go. And I'm gonna talk about, I guess, what everybody's kind of been bringing up is intrusive thoughts. So I'm not somebody who's been in the military, but I feel like I know a lot of people who have, and I always think like that perspective and that experience is really interesting because it's very like high stress and you know just trying to let your emotions out and people are telling you like not to. It's got to be very hard. Um, but yeah, so intrusive thoughts. I'm somebody who has like high anxiety. And for me, my intrusive thoughts were like really tangled with like my sense of self and stuff like that. So I started going to therapy too, probably say about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. And I think the biggest thing my therapist had me do was to identify what intrusive thoughts are and separate those from your own thoughts. So your true self, or sometimes people refer to it as your inner child. Um, it's a different voice from the intrusive thoughts. Um, so like over the weekend or a couple of days ago, I was watching this YouTube video, and there was this like very pretty woman. She's very well spoken, and she just seems so comfortable in front of camera. And I was just like, my mind was just saying all these like mean things about her. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, like. She's pretty. She's very well spoken. She's doing well for herself. Like, why all the hate? Um, so I like in that moment, I was like, okay, we got to be honest with ourselves. Like, where are these thoughts coming from? So, um, those intrusive thoughts were attached to an emotion. I felt very insecure at that moment because I felt like I didn't measure up, right? Like, I just felt like, she's going to be doing better than me and like, all that stuff. And I just, I had to give myself a pep talk and be like, you both are doing different things. She's a different person and she has her place and you have your place. And we all have something special to offer the world, so I shouldn't feel like I'm less than because we're all equals, and it's an uncomfortable place to be to have emotions like that because we tend to feel like really ashamed of our emotions. But I think we got to be honest with ourselves because sometimes, like, we can't control our emotions and we're allowed to feel how we feel, but you need to take those emotions or those thoughts and figure out where they came from, and you can't be scared to do that because it's very uncomfortable. But I think we need to be at a place where you have to be honest with yourself and not ashamed or embarrassed. And I think I was raised in a Catholic family, so like shame and embarrassment and all that stuff, like that's like commonplace, right? And um really you shouldn't feel bad about having these emotions, and you should just try to see where they're coming from because usually you can solve it, instead of stuffing them down, because when you stuff them down, you're weighed down with those emotions, and they're trying to come out, but it ends up coming out as like projection, so you project these feelings onto other people who don't deserve it.
Mm.
And my mom did that with me a lot, and it took me a while to figure it out because I was carrying all this stuff that she put onto me that wasn't mine to carry, and I was just like, it took me probably like I would say until the end of last year to figure that out. I was carrying a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't mine, and I carried so much guilt throughout my life and so much shame, and you know uh, just being able to like analyze what's happened and how like what my true self feels and how my true self thinks Like, I'm not embarrassed about those emotions anymore. And we should normalize, like, it's okay to have emotions that you feel like you should be ashamed of.
Mm.
That's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel ashamed for having those emotions. It's really up to you to take accountability for what you do from then on, you know? So, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I don't want to go 'cause I got
Um,
thoughts. But...
yeah, Rock, I totally agree with everything you said. I also like to use the term self-discipline when it comes down to handling like your emotions. Um, when I say self-discipline, it means not necessarily like hide your emotions, but rather be present with them, understand them, and realize where you are in the current space. You know, you can't just allow these emotions necessarily to surface when you're, you know, dealing, I don't know, like you're at a grocery store or something. You just can't do that, right? But there's a time and place for everything. Self-discipline is like a big kind of tool, I guess you can call it. So it's a nice tool that can be used, not necessarily, again, not to mask the emotion, but to direct it. Because a lot of you're totally right. What happens a lot is people project it to like another
Mhm.
person, or saying, when people just say bad things about somebody, it's like, am I really thinking this about this person, or is it me that I see in them? And it's rough. That's all I really have to
Yeah.
say about that. Yes, like,
Okay. Thanks.
I think because like Leah put it in there as well, and I think the
Mhm.
first step to a lot of these is being self-aware, is realizing, as you said, where these come from, right? I know, again, like I said about body stuff, right? I could look at someone like Obi and be like, fuck man, he just naturally is good looking. He's got like a great body, whatever, like, not just trying to rizz up the homies, but like
you are definitely trying to raise up the
like,
homies.
it's
But it's
just
totally
like
cool. It's working, K9, just
it's
so you
working all
know.
right, as long as it's slightly, but but it's like there has to be a level of me that goes like, okay, right, take a step back. One, he works out all the fucking time. Of course he deserves that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like he put in the
Yeah.
discipline and the time and the effort to be that. The natural side of things, that can't be helped. Natural is natural, right? You were either lucky or you weren't. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, how do you, you know, like, then take a step back to move forward with that feeling? Like, do I want to go back to that feeling of envy and jealousy and accept that I'm just apparently a bitter, jealous person? Or do I go, actually, it doesn't really affect me that much. What it should affect me is how do I get to that point where I'm as comfortable going to the gym every day, or, accepting what I look like, for example, which again, apparently humor's my thing, but like, so those taking that step back to be self-aware of those intrusive thoughts, and that's just it. Our thoughts are meant to be split second, right? Like that's how we live. Our thoughts come and they go immediately, like, hey, is this gonna benefit me from a survival standpoint? Is this person a competition? Is this person, like, we're all primal in that sense. The fact is that like that's all underlying. Now we have the ability as developed some people. I'm joking, all right, but some people are developed adults, etc., to go, hold on, what is like that? Where's that feeling coming from, and what do I do with that? And that's something I'm learning a lot. I'm very impulsive with my intrusive thoughts, and I'm just like, I don't know, Mr. Pain and Sorry could have come on today and it said hello to you and then carried on, and then I'd have been like, he hates me. He fucking hates me. Like it's just like, but then you're just like, no, he's typing, he's busy. You gotta like slow yourself down, and take a
Yeah.
second to really think about it. And it's not always easy because, like you said, you could be in a grocery store, right? And Karen's behind you and she's yelling at you to move in the line or whatever, and you're in a high stress, like, and you just want to go with your intrusive thought and just be like, shut the fuck up, or you could just go, oh yeah, my bad, and like, there's the intrusive thought of like in that moment, and then there's the deeper stuff, like you said, like why am I feeling all these weird emotions towards the weather girl on this channel, right? Like, like, oh, it's because I'm not happy with something about myself, or you know, maybe I had dreams of doing something else, and I took a different path, but like, am I happy with that path? Either yes, or how can I achieve that path next? Maybe I want to be a weather girl and I'll make a great weather girl. But like
Yeah, you would,
so
K9.
exactly, I'll wear a wig and everything. But like it's just it's one of those things where like you do have to take a second really and go, I'm feeling emotions, what do they mean? These aren't just thoughts, there's something attached to it, you know. I'm only seeing a small slice of the pie right now. There's a whole pie, Now I'm hungry, but uh, yeah. I
Love
mean,
pie.
that's my little 2 cents on that, essentially.
See, that was an
Okay, thank
intrusive
you.
thought right there. I just the pie,
No,
I like
right?
the
Yeah,
pie.
no. I need the pie because I need
I
to
was
go to
like,
the
I'm like pie.
gym.
I started thinking immediately, like, what kind of pie do I want today?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I think Lalaleia made a really good point about beauty standards and stuff like that. And I just think, in general, I think people have unrealistic expectations of themselves and unrealistic expectations of other people. Like, you have expectations put on you by other people sometimes. And, that can make you think all sorts of things, especially when you have intrusive thoughts more than other people. I just think, you have to be realistic, and, as humans, we all have emotions, and you can't be embarrassed of them. You have to feel what you're feeling, and then just figure out why, and then take care of it from there, and then just let it go
And I will say
instead of
as
carrying
well,
that around.
another thing
Yeah.
that like people forget, like for example, you mentioned that you have high anxiety, right? Like mental health isn't as always clear cut as say physical health in terms of like, oh, we can see this fracture, we know exactly what the problem is. Each element of mental health can feed off each other, right? So anxiety, right? Yeah, those intrusive thoughts, they get high. All of a sudden you're now in a depressive state because you're thinking about, okay, I was in this moment, I'm really jealous of this girl, why don't I look like this? I'm sad with myself. And then they feed off each other, right? And that's the hard part, is actually kind of like tearing them apart and being like, no, you stay in your lane, you stay in your lane, and I'll deal with you separately. Like fighting kids, like I can't take you all on at once, but if I break you up, all right, Obi might be able to take on a bunch of kids all at once, but like it's just like saying like, hey, the anxiety is kicking in, the depressive state is now that like I'm, feeling bad about myself. How do I break those apart and deal with them? Like fighting small battles instead of one large war. Not to get all military again, but like it is
Yeah.
just like breaking it down and going, I felt this way because of this, and this led to this, and this, and this. How do I break those up and deal with those separately when I'm ready to deal with those? Right now
Perfectly said.
I'm dealing with this one thing.
Yeah.
Just let me fight this battle, and then I'll get on to you next. Like I'll figure out why it made me feel that way. So yeah.
I was gonna say something about that beauty standards thing right there. A lot of the time you see somebody that's like, for like myself, I'm very fit and stuff, but the reason I am like this is because, well, my job requires it. All of my jobs require it. I'm a martial arts instructor. I have to look fit. I have to be, there. My other job, I'm a bodyguard. You don't want somebody not looking, you want someone looking like me to take care of you, right? You want me to pull you out of a burning building if the need be. So, um, the whole beauty thing, you really don't know what's going on with someone, even if they're like super good looking. In fact, I think a lot of the times when they are good looking, you tend to only notice the outside. You're like, nah, he's doing great. Just because they're good looking, they're totally doing fine. No, absolutely not. Sometimes it's actually easier for somebody that's good looking to hide that they're not okay just by going, no, I'm okay, with a nice little smile. You're like, oh my God, your smile made me feel so good. Not realizing that there's a lot of pain behind it. So, I don't
Sad.
know. Hmm.
I can attest to that one. Not me being a beauty or anything like that, but
Absolutely,
No,
Robin.
I'm confident. I'm confident.
no, there was I wish I could remember their names, but there was someone who was like a beauty model or whatever, beauty queen, and it
Yeah.
looked like she had everything together. And then there would be someone else who were like, "Oh, I wish I could, be in her shoes." But the whole time she's envious of other people because they have real friends, they have real family, they have real people looking out for them, and she didn't have anybody. It was everyone around her was like taking things from her,
Mm,
either taking her money, making her pretty herself up this way or that way, not giving her any options, and like just running her ragged. And as long as she was making them money, they didn't care about her well being.
mm,
So it was like the person who was a little envious, they ended up having a conversation like, hey, like, I wish I could be like you, Baba. And like, they end up becoming friends, and she gets around people like who actually care. Basically, fire her own team. I just can't remember who it was anymore, but it was like that just goes to show like you don't really know until you have that conversation with someone. And I
yeah.
Oh
mean,
yeah.
all of them, maybe they won't be honest about it. Some of them will be honest, but it's like for everything that you see on the outside, there might be 10, 20 things on the inside you're not seeing that's going on.
Yeah, I think as well, that's a really great point about how people perceive us on Twitch right now. We're in your life potentially for a couple of hours every week. People see you as like, man, I was in Rocket Girl stream and she was laughing, she was having a great time. Yeah, the community was vibing. But as soon as that live button goes off, 10 million thoughts go through her head. Like I'm the same. I have my close people that truly know what I deal with. And then, like, there's others that I'm willing to, if they want to discuss it, you know. But, like, people perceive things. Robin Williams is a great example of things like that, right? The sad clown aspect, right? Where it's like, man, he's just such a joy. He's so inspirational. And then in the meantime, he's hurting like never before.
Yeah.
And people aren't really taking him seriously because he's the goofy guy, right? He's the one that's always there when I need him to be a little ray of sunshine, etc. And then so like you said, sometimes people take too much without giving,
Hmm.
and not realize.
They say the funniest people are actually the saddest people. And
Well,
I'm like, a lot
hello,
of
high
people find
five.
me
No, I'm joking.
hilarious, right?
Yeah.
No, you're
I do have
I
pretty
mean,
good puns.
honestly,
Uh,
honestly, for me, like with Robin Williams, that really shocked me.
mm,
And there's
Oh
Mhm.
like
yeah.
celebrities from time to time where you just have no idea, right? Like Chris Cornell, I was just
yeah.
like, oh,
Even like
Yeah.
Chester
or
Benningfield and that, right,
yeah,
is a
I
great
was just about to
example.
say that. Yeah,
He
I was
wrote
just
a
about to
whole
say like,
album that was a cry for help, and everyone's like, "Boo!
yeah,
This isn't what Linkin Park used to be. Boo!" And then he's like, "Well, I'm done." Like it's crazy.
yeah, it is pretty crazy. So before we wrap up, do we have any final thoughts that we want to say about the stream overall?
Oh, I mean,
Oh.
I was just going to say very quickly. One, I want to thank everyone for doing this. All right, this not only takes a lot for those that don't know. It took a lot of planning, a lot of adaptations, and things like that. But everyone's been trying to be flexible with each other, and again, Rockagot's really been holding it together. With like, she had this whole breakdown. It was amazing. I was impressed. I
Rock's
was
the
like,
best.
man, right?
Absolutely.
Like, oh, look at that little salute there. But like yeah, and I just want to say really thank you for everyone being very open to conversations as they come up. They're not always easy. And that's for everyone in chat too. For people being here,
Yeah.
even if you're lurking. And again, it's not easy to talk about these things. Um, but even if you guys need, I know myself, reach out. If I'm not getting back to you on a swift manner, it's probably because there's something going on for me, like very busy in that moment, but I will do everything in my power to get back to you. Just hold on just that little bit longer, okay? Don't give up on me. All right, I'll be there. So that's my little final thoughts.
Obscure, you have any final thoughts?
Um, Stay hydrated.
Just
Brush your
like
That's
teeth.
an important one. That's an
Yeah.
Brush
important
your
one.
teeth. Clean behind the ears. Um, Clean your ass.
Yeah, don't want swamp ass around here.
Um,
Oh, no.
and yeah, if you ever want to just get fit, just take the first step. Just walk in. That's all you have to do. And don't worry about anybody else. You're doing it for you.
My mother told me
That's what my
someday I would buy
How about you, Mr. Payne?
Kelly's window doors.
Final thoughts. I would say thank you, Rock, for inviting me to this, and it was nice meeting everybody. Um, Again, my DMs, my streams, everything's open. I enjoy talking with people. I've been trying to reach out a little bit more. I feel like every year older I get, the more wiser I get. I'm starting to understand a lot more things than I ever did before. I'm a lot, way more chill than I used to be. Um, I've been in, I think we're all on a journey, and I feel like, I don't really let myself get pushed around by the I want to clarify that. But like when people just need to talk or we need to come to some type of understanding, like just reach out. Um you could literally DM me right now and be like, "Hey, I was watching your guys' podcast stream and you said reach out, blah blah blah. Hey, let's have a conversation. I'm here." Um and everyone in the chat, everyone that's lurking, people who might watch this later on some other platform, like, hey, it's always open. Just let me know. I appreciate each and everybody. And yeah, always reach out before you do anything drastic, I would say as well. Because I know we talked about being close to the edge on some things. So like
Mhm.
you aren't the only one dealing with a certain thing. And there are people available to talk to you about it. Yeah, you are loved and you are important. Even if it doesn't seem like it, even if it feels like you're alone, somebody out here will be willing to lend an ear, and I'm one of them. That'd be my closing thought.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, And for me, I just want to thank everybody for taking time to be here and talk about some very difficult things. Everybody sounds like they've been through a lot, a lot. And honestly, like hearing everybody's story puts my own story into perspective. And it's nice to not feel alone. And I hope people out there who think they're alone know that they're not alone either, whatever they're going through. And yeah, please reach out and get help. Talk to somebody. If you're able to have a therapist, like I would highly suggest it, because there are things, if you stuff down your emotions, it comes out in other ways, and sometimes we're not always aware of how they come out. um I know, like, I didn't know how to process my emotions growing up because I wasn't able to express how I felt. My emotions were kind of backseat to whatever my mom was doing. So
Uh-oh.
I was going to say we
emotions
lost
and
Rock.
figure out what they meant.
There we go.
Oh, did
It,
you
it,
did you
it caught
what
up.
happened?
It
You're
lagged
back.
out.
You're back. You're back.
You're back. It was
Oh,
accident.
I'm
You're
so
good.
sorry.
No, sorry, you can't help
No,
it.
yeah.
Okay. But yeah, make sure you like reach out to one of us if you need to talk, or
Hmm.
reach out to your friends and tell them, you just need to talk, or you need to vent. Even venting helps a lot. And if you're somebody who likes to stuff down your emotions, um, I mean, I'm always free to talk about that kind of stuff, because that's how I used to function. I was in survival mode, so in order to like be able to make it through the day, I put my emotions down. And I can tell you, like, decades later, things pop out in the middle of nowhere, and you don't want to be in that position. You want to deal with your stuff, as soon as it happens, as soon as you can, process it and, deal with it. All right.
Cool.
Well, I
Thank
think
you so
that's
much for having me.
it. Yeah, yeah, I had an awesome time, you guys. Well, I mean, it was it was a good talk. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like,
That's
Awesome
awesome.
time is
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it.
it
I
was a good
enjoyed it.
time, not a fun
Same.
Yeah, me
time.
too.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good time, yeah. I hope we can do it again. I know next month is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we should
Mm.
try doing some things around that if we can. But thank
Yeah,
you, everybody in the chat, for being here and listening to our stories and giving us your insight on things too. I guess that's it.
yeah.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
guys.
raid out just because I got a bunch of wonderful people here, and we'll go take them somewhere else. Um,
Okay.
in that sense, I'm just doing it now. But
Ha-
yeah. Is there someone otherwise you guys recommend whilst I'm here? Like we can all raid. We can raid into the same person, Rock, if you want.
Well, I will be going to do a speed run, so there'll be 4 of us live.
Well, we
Oh,
should
can
do
we
it.
raid
Yeah, I
into
was gonna
Mr.
say
Payne?
we could send everyone
What
there.
was
Yeah,
that?
it makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
I would say it didn't have to be me, but I was like, the other 3 have gotten started, but I'm like, if you want to raid one of them, I'd be completely fine with that. Or you can raid me, I'm fine with that too.
I mean, yeah. Let's head over there then. I'll send all you guys over there. But again, thank you so much.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
organize something for next month then. I should have a bit more time as well. So
I have I'm not sure if you guys like board games and stuff. I have a huge collection. Some of the ones that I have are like mental health card games that we can probably play here.
I'm down.
And just it
That's
gets
Done.
really
something
deep
new.
on the
Same.
question side, and it's pretty cool. We can do like maybe 2 or 3 rounds, it'll be fine. I'm sure
As
you'll
long as
enjoy
it's
it.
not Uno, because I get very competitive. All right, I'm just saying.
Uno?
Right.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm
So
down
do
for
I
it.
I set up this raid too?
Yeah, I
Do we
think
all
you
set
can.
up
I
this
think
raid?
yeah,
Okay.
because whoever's in your unique chats comes together.
Okay. All right.
But all right,
Oh, hey, Vinny, we're just about to raid out.
we're head over to the wonderful Mr. Payne and Sorrow, who is here with us now. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Let's
Pleasure to have all
go.
you guys here.
Yeah.
And I will
It
catch
was
you
nice to
guys
meet all you guys.
very soon.
Yeah. You
Same,
guys
dude.
take care.
All right. Oh wait, I gotta wait 10 seconds. Thank you, Twitch, for
Wait.
making me
I know.
Oh,
I gotta.
do
just
my outro
just like
and then
Same.
immediately be.
hold on.
Oh, he says hold
I
on.
just awkwardly stare at the camera, you know?
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. No. All right. All right. Rating out in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.